Do I have everybody's attention now?
What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal SpazPhoenix, the YWC reality check. And tonight, the reality check is very simple. The reality check is something that I've been thinking about for a long time. The reality check is this. You, my friends here in the YWC, and I will say, like I say with everything else, when I say everybody in the YWC, I mean most of you, because clearly there are always exceptions to the rule. But as a whole, you all in the YWC are just an angry bunch of people, aren't you? I have no other explanation for it than that. Some of you have very good reasons to be angry. Some of you have personal issues, etc., etc. Some of you have drama here in the YWC. Some of you are like Ashton, who has yet to realize that he's not actually going to be a writer for the WWE. But as a whole, the YWC is just an angry bunch of people. And on top of being an angry bunch of people, they're also a bunch of sheep. Because, yes, everybody hates some things, everybody loves other things, and what you like and what you don't like is a very, very personal thing, which is why I find it so very, very funny that things that people hate move in trends. You know, we were all sort of mutually shitting on the indies for a while, and then, you know, then the thought pattern moved to, oh, why the hell does anybody watch SmackDown? Because it's shit, it's the B show, everybody knows that. And then for a long ass time, the trend was to shit on TNA, and now it seems that the trend is to shit on Monday Night Raw. And granted, a lot of people here in the YWC are hungry for views, and shitting on the biggest TV show for the biggest wrestling company in wrestling is a great way to get you views and controversy, if you want to follow that whole Eric Bischoff controversy creates cash bit. But it's just, it's such a trend, and it's such a seemingly a sheep movement that anybody who rightfully has any individual reasons not to like this is getting lost in the shuffle, and everybody comes across like, okay, this is what we're hating this week. And for a while it frustrated me, and for a while me personally, I felt like, okay, you know, everybody has decided that Raw is what we hate this week, so the fact that I was having a lot of fun with Raw and actually finding a lot of redeeming qualities in Raw that I'm seeing right now made me the outsider, and made me, you know, not a point of ridicule, because if people want to make fun of me for what I like to watch, they can go fuck themselves. Ashton, that goes for you, that goes for OTRS, and it goes for anybody else. But I went through all these various stages of how I could approach this, how I could make a video about this without sounding like a grade A asshole, which I'm sure most of you, or some of you assholes out there will probably think that I am. But I went through various stages, as I say. I went from a stage of, okay, everybody telling me how shitty my opinion was and how shitty the stuff that I was liking was. I went through a stage where that was very, very annoying, and I got into a lot of fights. I got into a lot of fights with a lot of people I actually usually get along with quite well here in the YWC. From there, I went into this stage, and I don't want to sound like I'm talking down to anybody, where I almost felt bad for people. Where I almost felt bad for good friends of mine, good friends of this channel, like the British Fist, NJ and Parkin, like Alex, like Preston, like, you know, anybody that you guys have seen me collaborate with here on a regular basis. And it was to the point where I almost wanted to reach down into the depths of the YWC and pull these people up and show them all these positive things that I was seeing, that they, to my eye, for one reason or another, were not seeing, where they could only see the negative. I wanted to show them the positives that I was seeing. And I was met with such resistance that I finally come to the conclusion that I'm going to stop trying. And I'm going to come to the simple, very, very simple conclusion that the people in the YWC that are angry have just decided to be angry. And what I mean by that, anybody knows, whether you're in school, whether you're in work, whether you're in social situations, whatever, there are positive people, there are people that come in with an even-tempered approach to things. There are people that come in super positive, and yeah, those people are kind of annoying too. But there are the people that you see on any given day, like I say, in your school, in your workplace, in your friendly social situations and whatever, that you see, and you just know that they got out of bed that day and decided that today was going to be a bad day. decided when they got up out of bed, when their head left the pillow that morning, that they were going to be in a bad mood. And that is where the YWC is now. I'm sorry. Some of the people, some of you that I see here in the YWC, and some of you, and this is what hurts me the most, some of you are people I have a shit ton of respect for, believe it or not. Some of you I know go into Monday Night Raw expecting it to be bad. You go into Monday Night Raw thinking this is going to be a bad show. Now I'm going to find things that I can pull out to make it sound bad. Some of the people that frustrate me with these kind of things are the people that say things like, Raw sucked, there was nothing good on the show, it was so bad I turned it off after the first half hour. If you turned it off after the first half hour, you can't say that there was nothing good on the show. You can say that there was nothing good in that half hour that you saw. And then there's the other people that are so over dramatic. Oh, you know, you watch their videos and it's like they're on strike. It's like they're protesting. Well, I've decided that I'm not going to watch Raw. Fucking bullshit. I mean, because whether you like it or whether you don't, you're going to watch Raw to pick out things to back up your argument, or you're going to watch Raw and try to pick out the good. But either way, just don't. It's over dramatic. It's you know, you're trying to prove your point, and I understand that. But don't sit there and try to tell us that you've boycotted Raw and you're not watching it and you don't give a shit what happens on Raw when your topical videos or whatever for the rest of the week are talking about everything that happened on Raw. Come on, that's over dramatic for the sake of being over dramatic, and when you stab yourself in the foot later in the week, it just kind of makes you look like an idiot. So, legitimately, if you've decided that Raw is going to suck before you even turn the television dial on, then yes, in your mind, you are setting yourself up to not enjoy the show. I will say something right here, right now. Somebody who I find very, very entertaining here in the YWC on his 101st channel, Wrestling Jesus. Wrestling Jesus, who has made a name and a reputation for himself in the YWC for shitting on everything and doing it better than most of the rest of you out there combined and making it 10 times more entertaining. Even he is finding positives in the WWE product at the moment. If Wrestling Jesus, who's, you know, in a lot of people's eyes is this crotchety old asshole who's never going to give anybody credit for anything ever, is finding good, finding positive, finding growth in the WWE product and Monday Night Raw specifically, and you can't, there is something wrong. And as I said, I've stopped trying, and I'm going to stop trying because my decision is this. My decision is this, that the people in the YWC that are not happy with the current product have just decided not to be happy. And how am I going to prove that? I've got a list here. You know, I've upgraded from the Doomy clipboard of doom, and I'm actually doing somewhat of computerized notes because I'm feeling fancy today. My point is, if you're unhappy with the WWE and Monday Night Raw specifically right now, you are unhappy because you have decided to be unhappy, because this is a list of everything. Not everybody signs on to everything that I'm about to say in this list, but as a whole, I've got a collective of the things that the YWC has been moaning about for months and years that WWE in the past little while has given them. Has given them. This is what you wanted, this is what you bitched about, this is what you're getting, and you're still not happy. So I've decided that nothing is going to make you guys happy. I've decided that if you are miserable at this point, then you have just decided to be miserable. Like any worker, like any schoolmate that I went to school with or have gone to work with in my life, your head left that pillow that morning deciding to be miserable, deciding to be in a bad mood, and deciding not to enjoy yourself. Example one, and here's where everybody's going to say, Spaz, why would you ever stick up for this? Everybody bitched and moaned and whined and cried and complained forever that Cena was in the main event all the time and Cena was in the world title picture all the time, including me. I am probably the #1 despiser of John Cena in the YWC, and I will take full credit for that. Go check out Cenapocalypse if you don't believe me. But one of the most celebrated things we have going on in WWE right now is CM Punk on his 390th day as WWE Champion, which means, uninterrupted, he has been the champion for 390 days or so, which means, at the very least, John Cena has not been. And anytime he's even touched the title picture in the past year, he's been defeated handily by the best in the world, the voice of the voiceless, CM Punk. because CM Punk is better. Yes, now, when we get to WrestleMania season, yes, I will fully listen to anybody that wants to bitch, because he'll get back in the title picture, he'll face The Rock, he'll do some shit at WrestleMania and whatever, and it'll become the John Cena show again. I understand that, but don't bitch about it already when we're not going to get it for at least another 3 months. John Cena, what has he done in the past little while? He's been defeated by CM Punk handily, a lot. He has fought The Big Show, fought John Laurinaitis. He's had the upper hand had on him by Dolph Ziggler for the past couple of weeks. He's in petty little disputes with Vicky Guerrero, and he's got a new psycho girlfriend in AJ. Now, very little of that has anything to do with the WWE title, and even though he's got the last spot on the show, he hasn't been in anything that could be called a main event feud other than CM Punk, who, I will say again and again and again, has defeated him every time since whenever the last time he had the belt was, which was at least 390 days ago. So, this is coming from me, the guy that despises John Cena more than most. Get the fuck over it. Next thing, we wanted to push Punk. Won Money in the Bank twice. Defeated Edge. Defeated Jeff Hardy. Has defeated, like I say, John Cena numerous occasions. Is pushing his way into the main event scene. Is the center of this whole Shield angle, which is fantastic. He's got Paul Heyman by his side, which, even though he doesn't really need it, boosts his stock even more. CM Punk, and, you know, PWI will say it, because PWI 500, CM Punk was on the top. CM Punk, whether or not WWE wants to believe it or not, is the hottest thing in wrestling right now. And WWE is letting him be the hottest thing in wrestling right now. How much more would you like this guy to have? Multiple-time world champion, multiple-time WWE champion, and has feuded with just about everybody. He's going to go on to the Rumble. He's going to start 2013 in a title match at the Royal Rumble with The Rock. The Rock, who up until this point was only, and I agree with the frustration for this, I will say that, The Rock, who was originally only brought into the WWE to put over Cena. He didn't put over Cena. We got our scalp from Cena. Cena did not get to beat The Rock. I can see us going into Rumble and seeing CM Punk beat The Rock. Therefore, CM Punk here, Cena here. That means that the company, at least for one night, is putting CM Punk above John Cena and above The Rock if CM Punk gets the victory and gets to keep his title going into WrestleMania. So it's fair to say that CM Punk's gotten a push. Moving on, Daniel Bryan. Oh, they treat Daniel Bryan so shitty, da-da-da-da-da. They had him lose all over the place. His Money in the Bank wasn't done the way it was supposed to be done. He beat The Big Show for the world title. He successfully escaped The Big Show and Mark Henry, who at the time were being booked as the most dominant forces on SmackDown for a couple months in a row. He gained more popularity than the new champion when he lost the championship at WrestleMania. I don't like Team Hell No, but Team Hell No is one of the prominent features in WWE programming right now. He's been the US champion, I think. Somebody can correct me in the box below if I'm wrong. I think he's been Intercontinental Champion. I'm not entirely sure. He got to headline 3 pay-per-view match... not headline, but he got to have main stage quality matches with CM Punk for 3 pay-per-views in a row. So please tell me that Daniel Bryan hasn't been pushed. Dolph Ziggler. This was the big one for me a year ago. This is the guy that was jobbing to everybody because he did a great job of making everybody else look good. Alex, Delexman, and I did a video a couple months ago about the great year that Dolph Ziggler has had. Started off the year with a title match against CM Punk. Then moved on, put over a couple of other people, tried to carry Jack Swagger as a tag team partner. You know, great match with Jericho at, I believe it was SummerSlam, retired him the next night on Raw. Just defeated Randy Orton in another great Randy Orton versus Dolph Ziggler match on SmackDown a couple weeks ago. I firmly believe he's going to beat John Cena at TLC. He's going to go into 2013 with Money in the Bank, and I can see him defending his new World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Hopefully it'll be up against Randy Orton, but we'll see about that when we get there. Dolph Ziggler has gotten the push that he deserves, especially in the past, 12, 13 months or so. He's come a long way from being in the Spirit Squad. He's come a long way from being Kerwin White's caddy and, Maria's boyfriend and so-and-so's boyfriend and so-and-so's boyfriend and the guy that just jobbed everybody. He's getting a chance. No, he's not winning every match, but Dolph Ziggler's the kind of star that doesn't need to win every match to walk away from that match saying Dolph Ziggler was the star of that match. Excuse me. We need to push new talent. We're tired of the same guys in the main event all the time. Da-da-da-da-da. Got a couple of names for you. Antonio Cesaro, Damian Sandow. Some of them failed, but, Ryback, Brodus Clay. We've got Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. We've got, all the people from NXT. All the guys that the indie fans out there wanted to see. All the guys out there that the NXT guys wanted to see. I can seriously see in the next couple of months them bringing up a team like the Ascension, them bringing up a diva like Paige, etc., etc. And they're not just tickety-pooing around. Like Damian Sandow got to face John Cena on main event. Antonio Cesaro's already got himself a title. The Shield debuted at a pay-per-view in the title match. Not only in the title match, but in a title match involving CM Punk, who's the hottest thing in wrestling right now. Involving Ryback, who is the biggest, company product guy that WWE is trying to push right now. In, a Big Four pay-per-view, Survivor Series. They came in, they had their first night in one of the brightest spotlights that you can possibly imagine in the year, and that was their first night on the job. So please tell me how WWE is not pushing new talent. A lot of people hated on my boy The Miz. Oh, he's just boring, he's not funny, he's obnoxious, he's not this, he's just another cookie cutter heel, there's nothing special about him. So what did they do? They turned him face. They made him more aggressive. They gave him a film role to kind of boost his diversity or whatever. And since then, people don't want to admit this, of course, because it's a crime in the YWC to like The Miz no matter what he does. But since his face turn, since his attitude changed, whatever, The Miz, not CM Punk, usually it would be CM Punk, but I'm talking about The Miz in this case, The Miz has been verbally dominating everybody he's been in the ring with. This year, went toe-to-toe with Rey Mysterio at SummerSlam, and I know that pissed a lot of people off. Went toe-to-toe with, Rey Mysterio, Sin Cara, and Cody Rhodes at Night of Champions. Second-generation superstar, Sin Cara, who the WWE's incredibly high on, and a legend, I will admit, in Rey Mysterio. Beat all three of them. Not only did he beat all three of them, he beat all three of them with a mask on backwards, therefore blindfolded. So please tell me how The Miz is just another boring cookie-cutter heel. Sheep, sheep, sheep. Moving on. Develop the Divas. First of all, we got rid of a couple of the cancers. We got rid of the Bella Twins, because the Bella Twin gimmick was getting old. We got rid of Kelly Kelly, who was an anchor on the entire division because she was the female John Cena, whether certain people out there like to believe it or not. We have Alicia Fox there if we need a jobber. Layla came back better than ever. AJ Lee, in her role outside of the Divas division, brought enough attention to the Divas division that it deserves to be noted. We have dominant Divas in the division right now, like Tamina, ready, willing, and able to take over that next step. We have Eve, who's pretty much great at everything she does. Backstage, the assistant to the general manager role, when she was just stirring the pot with other divas. And in the ring, she's fucking fantastic. And she's not hard to look at either. You've got, like I said before, you've got people that have just come up like Caitlyn, who's made great strides because she wasn't that impressive when she made her first sort of debut, first couple of matches and whatever. Her talents in the ring and as a character, etc., have come leaps and bounds. Is she there yet? No, but it's fun to be on that journey. You don't want somebody to walk in the first day and be ready to be carried to to be handed a title to carry, there we go, I can speak, I swear, it's better to see them come in, be a little green, watch them grow, watch them progress naturally, and when you do that, look at Jeff Hardy's first WWE title victory. How long did we wait for that, and how much better was it when we were able to stay on that long journey, those of us that were fans of Jeff Hardy, and sit there with him and be like, that's the guy we backed, he finally got what he deserves. If they want to do the same thing with somebody like Caitlyn, great. You've got somebody like Paige in NXT, who already seems to have a cult following on NXT. We've got Sarah Del Rey, who I'm freely willing to admit that I know nothing about, because I don't watch indies, I don't watch the women's leagues, etc. Had somebody come in, says she doesn't want anything to do with the spotlight. All she wants to do is work with the rest of the girls and help them get better. What else could you ask for, really? Aside from getting somebody like a Lita back there, because I'm a big mark for Lita, and I would love to see more people that had that kind of style. But other than having somebody like Lita come back and mentor these girls, you need to have somebody come in and verbally say, as they're walking in the door, I don't want the spotlight, I want to help these guys get better. That is a directional bit of motivation, momentum, however you want to say it. I see great things, even though nobody else does. And yes, I know, I was as guilty as everybody else of saying, oh, WWE Divas division's a piss break, da-da-da-da. Not recently. Not recently. I like the Divas. There are other things, like Big Show versus Sheamus, which I will say is horrible, and is now my piss break, that I will save comments like that for, because I'm not saying WWE's perfect. I'm just not willing to get up here on a camera and lie and say that it's shit. Because the Divas matches went from being my piss break, as I've freely said, to being one of the things that I look forward to on a weekly and monthly basis. That is a huge set of growth. And like I say, we're not there yet, but it's fun to be there. It's fun to be there, to watch something grow, to go from being shit to being okay, to looking forward to when it will be good and great. If everything came in and was great the first day, where would we go? If you came into the WWE the first day and you were handed a WWE championship, where would you go from there? You'd have a one-year career and there'd be nothing else for you to do. Tag team division. Now here's one that I've had a lot of debate with myself. You have to try before you can... You have to change, rather, before you can change for the better, change for the worse. WWE tried to boost their tag team division by putting a bunch of mashed up tag teams together. I don't like that. I think Hell No was the wrong direction to go. I still do. Sin Cara, Rey Mysterio proved me wrong, because they actually did mesh properly as a good, decent, cohesive tag team. Same thing can be said for Rhodes Scholars. Glad to see Cody Rhodes back. Could do without the mustache, but that's a little nitpick. Those guys need to be the tag team champions. And you need to do what they did on Raw this week, is intermingle those tag teams that have the extra individual star power with the ones that are lacking that a little bit, like the Primos and Epicos and like the Usos. The Usos, even though they didn't win the Fatal 4-Way on Raw this week, had a hell of a showing, and based on what they did this week on Raw, I would believe it. Not necessarily for them to become the champions, but I would believe them as contenders. If they had won the 4-Way on Raw after the effort I saw put forth by them in the Fatal 4-Way on Raw, I would have believed them having a shot at Hell No. And notice I say a title shot. I'm not saying take the belts off Hell No right away. It's not believable. You got two former multiple-time world champions in that collaboration there, which is why it's bad for the division, really. But if you give the Usos a shot, you know, they pick away at them a little bit. You know, Primo and Epico get in there, pick away at them a little bit. Rhodes Scholars and the Masked Team, whatever they're calling themselves, get in there. They've got a little bit more star power. It's a little more believable. They start picking away at them. You get a multiple team situation for the belts, and something like the Usos or something like Primo and Epico or the Primetime Players could squeak out the upset victory. That's when you even out the prestige of the different teams, I guess you could say. When the division becomes more even, you have a competitive division, and that's more than we could have said 6 months a year ago. 6 months a year ago, what did we have? We had our Boom, which was doomed to fail, and you had Ziggler and Swagger, which was doomed to fail because it involved Swagger. Now we have the Ascension waiting in NXT, and I cannot wait until they debut. I became a fan of... I was not sold at all on the Ascension when they first came out. I thought they had done nothing In the division, I thought that they had done nothing as a team that I had seen just yet to deserve the awesome gimmick that they had been given. They've slowly grown into it, and I like it to a point now where I want to see them debut on Raw or SmackDown. We have the Usos, who should be on Raw and SmackDown. We have Primo and Epco, who should be on Raw and SmackDown. We have the primetime players, who are funny as hell, very entertaining, lots of energy, would love to see them as champions. And there's the odd exception. Rhodes Scholars is a decent mashup tag team, and Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio proved me wrong, and they proved that they could be a good team. Hell no. Yeah, as Alex would say, they're bringing eyes to the division, but I hope they bring eyes to whoever they lose the belts to. Ultimately, though, the tag division has gone, in a small step, from being a joke and another piss break to at least a topic of conversation. Because, like I say, me, Alex, Preston, the guys in the British Fist, you know, Kara on Skype, we can debate the tag team division if, you know, they're doing the right thing, the wrong thing, whatever, but at least they're doing something, which means as fans, at least we're talking about it. There's enough happening in the division that we have an opinion, so I can speak, I swear. There's enough happening in the division for us to develop an opinion to debate. A year ago, there would have been no debate because there was no division, there was no point in talking about it. That's a step. That is progress. That is another thing that the YWC has asked for and gotten and still pissed and moaned about. Here is a bit of hypocrisy in the YWC. Here, two arguments that I hear from a lot of people, and I agree with both of them. No, I don't. No, I agree with one of them. WWE needs to have longer run-out storylines. You know, they should not be so ADD, do a story, do a match, and then move on to the next. They need to have long, drawn-out stories. You got Austin and The Rock, Trish Stratus and Lita, Triple H and Mick Foley and his many incarnations, whatever. Long, drawn-out rivalries that lasted seemingly forever and were always entertaining. But then those same people will turn around and complain when they get the same match more than once. Whether or not the match is good is a fact that goes right out the damn window. When did, is this a good match or is this not a good match, become a non-factor? Because I watch wrestling to see wrestling. And I see good wrestling. I don't care if they fought the week before. I don't care if they're going to fight the week after. Couple matches, you could show me any day of the week, whether they happen yesterday, today, or tomorrow. Ziggler versus Orton. Orton versus Alberto Del Rio. Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk. Ziggler versus CM Punk. Alberto Del Rio versus Sin Cara. Rey Mysterio and or Sin Cara versus Alberto Del Rio. These are matches that I don't mind seeing however many times WWE wants to put them out there, because I know they're going to be good, and I know that each time I can say, hey, these guys have already fought before, it builds that story that you guys seem to be asking for so much. You cannot have a story where they don't touch. Actually, that's wrong. We did build one story for over a year where the contestants never touched. Oh, remember the John Cena Rock build? You remember how good that build was? No, that's because it wasn't. That's because you cannot build a long-term rivalry without contestants, you know, going at it a couple of times. How many times did Triple H and Shawn Michaels go at it? How many times did Triple H and The Rock go at it? The Rock and Triple H went at it so many times, they transitioned their rivalry. They took their rivalry from the Intercontinental Championship to the main event and the world title, and they were still fighting. How many times did Undertaker and Mankind, or Triple H and Cactus Jack, or Austin and The Rock? Somebody sent me a list the other time of how many different pay-per-views Austin and The Rock were on together, one-on-one, in one situation or another. It's something that makes no sense. And that's another thing. The YWC is so convinced, and all of you out there are so convinced that the thing is shit, you will run around in circles that make absolutely no sense if you think it'll help you prove that what's actually not that bad is the shit that you say it is. People wanted edgy TV. People sat there and claimed, oh, we don't have any edgy TV, this is all for children, and it was. They took PG to its lower limits. Vince McMahon himself even admitted that he was giving us G-rated children's programming. And people were sick of it. They wanted something more adult. They wanted something that didn't insult their intelligence. And what happened? They did the alcoholic storyline with Jericho and Punk and attacking Punk's family on the drug issues and the alcohol issues, etc. They did the shit with AW that eventually ended up getting him fired. They brought back the whole Mae Young's hand joke from however long ago, and then finally they did Jerry Lawler's heart attack and the CM Punk promo that came after that. And people bitched. People bitched and complained, oh my god, how can they do that? Don't you know they have sensitive people watching? Don't you know people could be offended and the company could get in trouble? Da 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 da. Anybody that was offended by the Jericho Punk shit leading up to WrestleMania, anybody that was offended by the CM Punk Jerry Lawler heart attack shtick and whatever, and by the way, the whole Jerry Lawler heart attack, CM Punk and Heyman mocking the heart attack thing brought out one of my favorite promos this year, and it wasn't from CM Punk. It was actually directed at CM Punk from Mick Foley, because Mick Foley's goofy a lot of the time, and I'll freely admit this, and I'm probably a huge Mick Foley fan, have been for years. Mick Foley has two different modes. He has his mode where he's, fun-loving and loving the crowd and, cheap pop and right here in whatever city we're in, da-da-da-da-da. And then there's that other mode that he's in, when he's totally serious, where he's passionate, where everything he says, everything he screams at whoever he's talking to comes out as a bark, almost comes out as like an animal noise, because he's so passionate about what he's talking about. He's so emotionally and mentally invested in what he's delivering at that particular moment. That came out at CM Punk as a response, as a mirror to the mocking Lawler's heart attack segment that Heyman and Punk had just done like 30 seconds before. So what I am saying to all of you, and this is a side note, totally aside from the topic of this video, anybody that was offended by the Jericho Punk stuff, anybody that was offended by any of the old jokes that were referenced in the past little while, yeah, when they did the anger management thing with Kane, they brought up Katie Vick, and everybody that knew what Katie Vick was went, ooh, ah, da-da-da-da. When they did Raw 1000 and they did the hand thing, anybody that knew what that was a reference to went, ooh, ah, and kind of went, tee, and then they went and hid in a corner and didn't admit in public that they were actually laughing their ass off at that segment. Anybody that did any of that, anybody that shit on the Lawler heart attack mockery there, better not ever claim that they want edgy TV from the WWE ever again. Because clearly they've never watched a clip of the Attitude Era. And yes, I'm going to push the Attitude Era, because yes, it was probably one of the better eras ever in wrestling. But if you couldn't even handle that little tiny bit of shit, what would you have done if you were a fan in the Attitude Era? If you can't even handle that shit, you have absolutely no right to sit there on your camera or your webcam or your audio recorder or anything else and ask WWE about any edgy TV, or tell WWE that their programming is childish, because WWE's given you subject matter and topics and storylines and gimmicks and everything that isn't, and you flipped your shit and turn your back on exactly what you were asking for. Last but not least, people that will say, we'll go through a whole show and say, well, this was good, and this was good, and this was good, and my guy won a match, so that was awesome, so it's only a good match if my guy wins, and da-da-da-da, like that. But, so this was good, this was awesome, this was kind of good, but the show sucked. The show was garbage. What? Leave some room, because there is going to be some shit in there for kids. I mean, I'm sorry, if you get one segment with, Hornswoggle high-fiving kids in the audience, there's kids in the audience. It's gonna happen. It's not dominating the show. As I joke so much on Twitter, Hornswoggle and the Great Khali are not gonna be the tag team champions. Calm the fuck out. Have a laugh. Go for a smoke. Take a leak. Fuck your girlfriend or your boyfriend or both. Whatever. And come back when the adult shit comes on again. But, here's the thing. Everybody in the YWC, myself included, has a push my guy mentality. If you're a Daniel Bryan fan, and Daniel Bryan gets a title shot next week, all your arguments about bad booking, bad storyline, bad this, bad that, oh, it doesn't make any sense for him to have a title match, would go right out the window if your guy got a title shot. The show sucks, but next week your guy's going to be on, he's going to save the fucking show. This, that, and the next thing. a lot of people's mentality, they've got one guy that they back. I do my Fave 5. I've done a secondary Fave 5, so there's at least 10 guys that I look forward to seeing on a regular basis, and other guys that I just think are fucking hilarious or entertaining or anything like that. Anybody that puts all their stock and all of their fan base behind one guy, if that guy's sick one week, of course you're going to have a bad night. But you're setting yourself up for it. If you've got a push my guy mentality, if I had a push my guy mentality, I wouldn't be watching the WWE. Because my guy is Jeff Hardy, and my guy is across the pond over in TNA. If I had the mentality that some people in the YWC have here right now, I wouldn't even be a WWE fan. But I don't. I don't. I follow my guy over in TNA. I say quite blatantly and honestly in the hashtags that appear at the end of each and every one of these videos, 2 things I want: push The Miz, bring back Jeff Hardy. One's happening, one's rumored to be happening. If they happen, oh yes, I will be biased as fuck. Difference is, I will admit it. Difference is, I will admit it. Anybody out there that goes, oh, well, Daniel Bryan could have saved this show, or Rey Mysterio could have saved this show, or you know, Bray Wyatt's going to save the WWE because he's going to debut next week and become the show. Fuck off! Just because a storyline doesn't involve your guy doesn't mean it's not good. Just because a storyline or a show or a pay-per-view didn't have your guy on it, maybe your guy's injured and they didn't publicize it. Maybe your guy's sick. Maybe your guy had to go home on an emergency visit or whatever because his wife was in a car accident or his kid had an accident at school or whatever. You don't know. All you know is the entire fucking pay-per-view sucks, or in this case, the entire fucking episode of Raw sucks because your guy wasn't there. That is fucking ridiculous. Look at my guys. Okay, yeah, I back Punk. Punk's getting pushed to the moon. How bad were they treating The Miz? Forever. He was jobbing to Brodus Clay. He was jobbing to Santino. I backed Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler has flat-backed to just about everybody on that roster because he's good at it. I back Randy Orton. Randy Orton has been wallowing in the mid-card of the second-tier show of the company for a year and a half, maybe 2 years now, nowhere near where I think he deserves to be. Cody Rhodes just came back from an injury. He was gone for a while. Take any individual one of those guys, and if I went in with the same back my guy mentality that a lot of people here in the YWC have, I would have given up on the WWE years ago. But I didn't. I admit my biases. I try to put them aside and see if shit makes sense. I admit my biases and I leave open the opportunity to be wrong. If I didn't, I would be denying myself the opportunity. Myself the opportunities that I've had. Couldn't stand Damien Sandow when he first came into the WWE. He proved me wrong. He started having fuller, better matches. He developed into this tag team with Cody Rhodes. His promos are... I don't know if they've changed or I've changed or I've opened up to them or whatever. I've become a Damien Sandow fan. I could not for the life of me stand Alberto Del Rio when he first came in. But you know what? I watched his matches, and most of his matches don't get nearly the credit they deserve. Most people laugh at me when I compare Alberto Del Rio and some of his mannerisms. Not all of them, but some of them. I do compare some of his mannerisms to the late, great Eddie Guerrero when he was in heel mode, and I get a lot of shit for that. I get in a lot of shit when I talk about The Miz, and I say that I see a lot of Jericho and a lot of Edge in The Miz. It's what I see. I get shit on a lot when I look at a guy like Dolph Ziggler and I say I see a lot of Shawn Michaels, I see a lot of Ric Flair, I see a lot of badass Billy Gunn in Dolph Ziggler. I look at CM Punk and say that whatever parts of Edge didn't end up in The Miz ended up in CM Punk. The intensity, the ability to hold the crowd in the palm of his hand. There is so much. If you step outside your little box, if you get up one morning, leave yourself a note the night before, leave yourself a sticky note on your wall so that when you wake up in the morning, it says, I know you want to be angry, but let's try something else today, and go into Raw with that mentality. If you go into Raw thinking, hey, you know what, maybe my guy's not on this week, but it might be a good show anyway. Let's see what they're doing with this guy. Let's see what they're doing with this guy. Take a list, make a list in your own head of the people that you can't stand, and give them a second look. I've done it with a lot of people, trust me. Couldn't stand JBL for about half of his heel title reign. When I warmed up to him as a character, saw what he was doing, etc., it was fine. I actually miss JBL now. I would give a lot to have JBL back in the ring as a heel right now. But I go back to this list again. Keep Cena away from the title. The title's been on CM Punk's waist for a year. Cena may have been in a lot of main events, but who's he been other than The Rock at WrestleMania? Because clearly we knew that was going to happen. But other than that, bullshit ambulance matches with Kane, matches with Laurinaitis as they try to recreate the Austin McMahon shit, more matches with the Big Show. These are not, I don't care where they are on the card, these are not main events. They really, really aren't. CM Punk himself said, I don't care if I'm the last one on the card, but I will promise you that whatever I'm involved in will be the main event. And he proved it this year. What John Cena has been doing this year has not been main event work, regardless of where it was on the card. Keep him away from the title. I've already gone over that enough times. YWC bitched about pushing Punk. Tell me they haven't. Push Bryan. Tell me they haven't. Push Ziggler. Please tell me they haven't. Push the new talent. Shield. That's all I'm going to say. Fix The Miz. I didn't think there was anything wrong with them in the first place, but as far as you all are concerned, they tried to fix The Miz. Develop the Divas. They are. Develop the style in which the Divas are presented. They are. They got rid of the cancers. They got rid of the Bellas and Kelly Kelly. Develop tag teams. They are developing tag teams. Do I agree with it? No. But they're giving it a shot. As I said earlier in the video, you have to change at all. You have to take a risk. And, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you can't just throw shit at the wall. But throwing shit at the wall is the way you find out what sticks. Just saying. Have long storylines. And I'm sorry, if you want long storylines, guys are going to fight more than once. That is logical. If not, you get the Cena Rock build, which nobody wants to see again. You want edgy TV. Don't bitch when you get it. And my last request, like I said, and it's the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm losing my voice, I'm tripping over my words, because it is so goddamn frustrating. Just because a gimmick, an angle, a storyline, a match, whatever, doesn't have your guy in it, doesn't mean it sucks. That's all. That's all I've got to say. If anybody listened this far, thanks for listening to me ramble. I'd love to get your thoughts on everything that I've said down in the box below. Everybody else, I got one comment a couple weeks ago that said it's nice to hear somebody else isn't shitting on Raw. Anybody else that agrees with me and is as frustrated with some of this YWC anger as I am, please toss it down in the box below. Toss it down in the box below. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure the ones that'll tell me I'm wrong will tell me I'm wrong. But that's the way of the YWC, isn't it? Anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep this conversation going. Tell me if you think I'm an asshole. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys. Wow.